It's a buying opportunity. I don't think it's as good as the a buying opportunity of 2008, 2009, because I think we do have a long way to go to wade our way out of this social distancing recession here. I think I think 2021 will really be the year of recovery. I don't expect to see a significant economic recovery this year, but I think he is generally right, though, because we have seen stock prices come down very far. We've seen valuations come down, and remember, we will see earnings going to be atrocious this year. But the idea is basically to keep the economy in sort of suspended animation, and that's really what fiscal stimulus is all about. Keep workers basically getting by, keep businesses basically from going bankrupt until you get a vaccine. And once you get a vaccine, the economy, this is going to be very U-shaped. The economy will bounce back with a lot of energy in 2021 once we've got a vaccine in place. Earnings will go up.
Remind me, David, we're now down about 30% or a little more off the highs of the Dow. What was the Dow's haircut during 2008-09? 50% plus?
I know the S&P 500 was down 53% peak to trough by March 9th.
You expect that kind of haircut this time?
No, I don't think we'll see quite that much because I think we've got scarier days ahead. But I think that the key thing is that this market is now cheap relative to long-term fair value. And people always ask me, was that the bottom? That's not the right question. We're not going to be able to time this. The right question for long-term investors is looking at bonds, looking at stocks, looking at cash right now. Does it make sense to be overweight equities relative to fixed income? It probably does. I know it's a scary time, but certainly, I think people need to recognize that if they haven't rebalanced, they are now underweight equities because their equities have taken a shellacking. Mm-hmm. And on a long-term perspective, the economy will bounce back. We will get past this eventually. And there's a lot of value in these companies in the long run that markets are kind of discounting today.
John Bellows, what do you think? Clearly, the market seems to be pricing in a steep recession at the very least. What are the odds that this economy goes into a prolonged depression?
Well, one thing I've been struck by is just the speed and forcefulness of the policy response. It's just been incredibly quick. Think about this. Lehman Brothers failed in September of 2008. It took the Fed 3 months after that before they finally cut rates to zero. This time, the Fed cut rates to zero in less than 2 weeks and 2 intermeeting emergency cuts nonetheless. They're very, very forceful. On the bond purchases, they're purchasing over double the pace of previous QE programs, and there's essentially no limit to how many bonds the Fed can buy. So the Fed's response here has just been incredibly quick,
but the market isn't buying
forceful.
it. The market isn't buying it, literally.
So clearly the reason the Fed's doing that is the economic emergency that we're facing is acute, it's severe, and it's largely unknowable how deep it is. I thought Jerome Powell was quite astute when he said we're not even going to write down forecasts right now. It's just unknowable. So yes, there is an unknowable nature to this. But look, I think that the Fed's response does matter, and I think once we do get some economic normalcy, some type of moderation, then it's going to be a really big deal. You have the Fed that's involved. They're involved in a serious way. You're getting fiscal policy in a serious way. And once you start to see demand normalize, and I tend to agree with the other speakers that you've had that eventually you will see demand normalize, the combination of normalizing demand and an incredibly forceful policy response is going to be a very different atmosphere than what people are used to. It's a very different atmosphere from where we are today, but it's also going to be a different atmosphere from where we are last year. Again, the combination of forceful policy and demand firming, is really going to create a different atmosphere.